And,
all right, so much here this morning on ITV on independent television. Now, Senator, what did I say, Senator now? All right, let's say Ita Enang is in the public space one more time, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Niger Delta. Only yesterday, we understand that he granted, a discussion to a media platform, and he said that the governors are to be blamed for the problems of Nigeria. And he also made recourse to the revenue that goes to states in the country, how states don't include the local governments, whereas they're supposed to be carried along. Then, of course, he also talked about the presidency, how the presidency uses what they use for the nation. Now, all this is eliciting reactions because when you talk about the problems in the country, a whole lot have been said. Some say that the presidency is to be blamed, while some say that the problems can be handled if only all of us, all the citizens of this country, can look inward and see how we can answer various questions. Well, to look at all this morning, we are so privileged to have Dr. Logat Sado. He's a lecturer with Departments of Sociology and Anthropology, University of Benin. Doctor, welcome to this program this morning on ITV.
Thank you very much.
All right, and also we have Comrade Samson Orupa, National Assistant Secretary General of Ijaw National Congress, INC, worldwide. You're welcome to this program this morning on ITV.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
All right, now, Doctor, let's get this discussion started. Now, Itai Nang, saying that the governors are to be blamed for the problems of Nigeria, the insecurity issues, insecurity challenges, and of course, the non-development of the country as it relates to revenue allocation, revenue generation, and revenue, everything that has to do with revenue and all that. So, do you think he's saying the right thing?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Evans, and good morning, my great people of Edo State. Without mincing words, I think that Itai Nang is playing the script for which he is being paid. Being an aide to Mr. President, naturally he's expected to pay his bills and meet the demand on his office. Having said that, I think that he is very much aware that in Nigeria, security revolves around the federal government, in which case the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces, is responsible for the maintenance of law and order, is responsible for enforcing security. Because all the security apparatuses in Nigeria, from the armed forces to the civil defense corps, to the police, to the immigration, to the DSS, they all report back to Mr. President. No governor has control over a divisional police officer, needless to talk of over a commissioner of a state, in terms of whether the Nigerian police force or whatever you want to say. In fact, I like what Governor Wike said yesterday when he was commissioning one of the roads at Ineche, alongside with former Senate President David Mark. He said he's surprised that the presidency is blaming the governors and asking them to provide security. And the question he asked is, who appoints the IG? Who appoints the service chiefs? Who do they report to? These are questions that I think the special assistant to Mr. President should answer for himself. I think that this blame game is to distract Nigerians. And somehow they want to put us into the web of discussion and debate as to who is responsible for security. So having said that, I think I need to put it very clear that the presidency, the federal government, is responsible for promoting security, protection of lives and property in Nigeria. If they want it to be, if you like, devoluted across to other arms of government, then it's simple. The constitution should be amended. As it stands, security is in the exclusive list of Nigeria, and the presidency is responsible. Now, in terms of development, when he said that the states are to be blamed for development, he should look at the revenue formula. He should look at who gets what and how it is distributed. You see, in Nigeria as it stands, what happens is that everything that is generated, virtually everything, goes to the federal government, and then they sit back and they share. I understand the federal government takes over 55% of what comes to the nation, and these things are from the states, and then they give the state certain percentages. I'm not quite aware of that now. And then another one goes to the local government. But the federal government takes the bulk. and decides on where to develop. In fact, when states want to tar road or they want to build infrastructure, they rely on federal government for intervention. So federal government is like the big brother who does nothing but accumulates everything and then shares to people and decides who gets what, when, and how. So if a state is in the good book of federal government, they attract federal government projects. Okay. And if it is not, they don't get. So I want to put it very clear here that with the way Nigeria is structured at the moment, everything revolves around the federal government. But that is not to say that we don't have some states that are not responsible, because you understand that the development across the 36 states in Nigeria is not even. That means that some states are able to generate their own internal generated revenue and are able to translate it into development. So if we were to compare states, some states are doing well, while some are just like the presidency. They are not doing as much as they should do.
Okay, I'm going to come to you later. Now, Comrade Samson Orupa. Now, we are looking at a situation that somehow it's kind of very, very confusive now, so to say, confusing, so to say, to really understand. Because what INAG, was about saying is that the states and the local governments, they have what they call the joint accounts. And of course, the states go ahead to have their own internally, generated revenue. Now, when it comes to developments, how this revenue, is allocated for XYZ project, the states, they don't share with the local governments in these internally generated revenues. And of course, the local government councils, they don't have any other, thing to do other than to also generate their own revenue on their own. Now, all this, don't you think it relates to the underdevelopment that INAG is trying to point at?
Thank you, Mr. Evans. And interestingly, it's unfortunate that Mr. Enang has taken a clue from his master. We are not saying that blames cannot be apportioned to governors, but under what context did they bring in this issue of governors need to be blamed? What is the prevailing situation now? Security matters.
And underdevelopment.
And underdevelopment. Now, going by his analogy, well, it has been a practice by governors not giving the space to local government to operate. Not one person, nearly across board, they are all guilty of it. But considering the problem that is at hand.
Yeah, but does that make it right? If that's been a tradition? If you
no, it is not. No, he is trying to point out something, and he wants to sway the mind of the citizens out of what is on ground and focus your governors. That is where that is the impression he's trying to create. That is where he's pointing to. Fine, we know the governors are not doing well with the local government. That is not the issue for now. Even if you give all the monies and the allocation to the local government presently, security matter will still be a problem.
Now, let me ask you, would you want to accept that part of the insecurity issues we are facing, it's as a result of underdevelopment?
I'm coming to that. But the burning matter that brought about, that want to keep down the heavens as we speak now, is it not farmer headers class? That is where the issue lies on. Now, some persons have said, whether you like it or not, we must go into your land and displace you. There's nothing you can do about it. That is a burning issue. Whether you like it or not, we must go into your land. There's a body language. People have said, instead of dying, allow them have your land and you stay alive. It's not bothered with that statement. People have said, you must give them. People want to displace people from the original settlement. These are the burning issues that led to all other issues that are now currently brewing. Coming to issue of development, fine. Government over time, when development stopped in this country is when we have regional operations. When the regions were vibrant, when the regions were doing things at their own pace, that was when development was on. Since that stopped, development has never been anywhere, except for on very few occasions that you have some good governors who, even not because they want to do it, because of certain interest they want to satisfy, or they want to pacify in some areas. That's why they brought in development. But the core issue that even if all the monies, because the governors are tampering with the state, with the local government funds, that is why there's problem in this country. We know it's a problem.
Okay.
We know it's a problem, but it is not the ultimate for now. That is the issue that is causing sleepless nights among the population.
Okay, I'll pause you. I'll come back to you. Dr. Lugard Sado, a while ago, you talked about the security handling in the exclusive lists, and that has to do with the presidency. Now, that is security handling. Now, let's get back to the roots and look at what is the major cause of the insecurity situation first, before we know who is supposed to be in charge of the security. After all, if there is no insecurity, we cannot question who handles security and all that. As it stands now, there is insecurity. Now, Comrade Samson Orupa also talked about the headers, farmers situation that is the major thing now. Well, to an extent, he is correct. But some other persons may also see differently, that perhaps is just a section of the problems that we have. We have kidnappings here and there. That is as a result of underdevelopment, so to say, because some persons may resort to kidnapping as a way of livelihood because they don't have job. That's, their own situation. Now, when we look at it this way, don't you think that if the state's governors can really attend to issues that relates to development, somehow they will be helping us a great deal?
I agree with you to a very large extent. However, let's put it in perspective. There are several factors responsible for underdevelopment. And underdevelopment has multiple consequences. One major factor responsible for underdevelopment is poor reasoning in the leadership. When we have failed leadership, when you have leaders who cannot canvass their way and decide the path that a state or a country should take towards moving from point A to point B, the people will continually experience underdevelopment. Unfortunately, that has been the tragedy of our nation, Nigeria. That's one. Number two, poverty. When you impoverish people to a point where they are helpless and they have nothing to lose, they can do anything. And that explains some of the security issues and challenges that we have in Nigeria. So much so that in this dispensation, Nigeria overtook India as the world capital of poverty. That means that over 75% of Nigerians are extremely poor. That is unimaginable compared to the wealth that we have as a nation. Number three problem or cause of underdevelopment that we have here is bigotry, tribalism. When you become sentimental, when you discriminate against the people because they are not your tribe or from your ethnic nationality, or they are not they don't practice your religion. When you put all of these in perspective, you will understand that that nation is already on the path to destruction. Now, having established that, it's imperative for us to note that you can't have development where there is no security. Now, it is true governors can provide the enabling environment, but let's use Benue State, Governor Otom as an example. Before all other states began to cry out, Otom has been crying out that all his plans to develop his state have been thwarted by a particular group of persons, the herdsmen or the Fulani herdsmen. And he raised this over and over. He was blacklisted, he was labeled. They used all forms of things to describe him, to say that he was anti those people. But today, we now know that what he said many years ago is now true, not just in Benue, it's true in Edo, it's true in Lagos, it's true in Zamfara, it's even true in the president's state, Katsina. That is to say that if the governor, oftentimes they say the governors have security votes of 500 million naira. And what do they do with the money most times? They buy vehicles, they buy arms, they buy some stuff, and they give to the police and law enforcement agents. But you see, you are only giving them arms. You don't have the commanding power. You don't have the authority to say, look, if you cite anybody doing this and that, act in this way.
Yeah, but the state governors are setting up their own quasi-security outfits.
We do
now,
know that, and I like the term quasi. Quasi is something that looks like, but is not. Something that is near it, but is not. These quasi-security outfits that the governors are setting up are if you like, offsprings of necessities. But they have their problems, and perhaps in another forum, I'll have to discuss that. That we are sitting on a gunpowder, and when it explodes, it will be worse than what the Fulani boys are doing in Nigeria currently. But my point here is that the governors need security, but they don't have the power to create security. And that is why some of us are agitating that the constitution must be reviewed in a way and manner to give governors, not just the governors, but even the local government chairmen, certain constitutional powers to be able to hire and fire security officials who will act within their provinces to ensure that properties and lives are secured. If that is guaranteed, then you can blame the governors for security. Now, what the governors do is that whenever they have challenges, they cry to the federal government for intervention. And the commander-in-chief, perhaps because it is his nature, is quite slow to responding to the demands of the governors. And before you know what is happening, what we hear are condolence messages to say the president or the presidency sympathizes with the people of XYZ and the families who lost their lives. But a life has gone. If you see what is scrolling across your television and across all the televisions in Nigeria, you will notice 11 people killed by herdsmen, 35 people killed by herdsmen, both in Katsina in President State, both in Benue, in Southern States. The security issues in Nigeria are overwhelming, and it appears that I am one of those, like Obasanjo will say, I'm an optimist in the entity called Nigeria. However, the managers of Nigeria have failed Nigeria. And all they need to do is to galvanize themselves and allow those who have the capacity. Because, you see, my brother, for democracy to thrive, the people must have their say and have their way. A situation where only a few are those who determine what happens to us economically, happens to us politically, happens to us as far as security is concerned, then of course we are heading for destruction. And that explains the direction that Nigeria is going currently. So my advice is simple. Anyway, instead of trading blame, what the presidency should do as it stands based on our constitution is that they should ensure that they provide security for all Nigerians. They should understand when a person dies or when 100 person dies, it is not statistics, because that is what I see in Nigeria. Those people are people's husbands, people's wives, people's children. They are people's daughters, daughter-in-laws. They are breadwinners. Okay. They must understand that, and it is not just mere statistics.
All right. Now, you said it seems that's the way Nigeria is going, heading towards destruction. I thought you said something like that.
Yes.
I would take that as your own opinion.
Definitely, definitely. And don't forget, Mr. Evans, that I'm not just a sociologist. I specialize in globalization and development studies. Anyway. And I understand the pathway societies go before they go into extinction. Anyway. And Nigeria is treading that path with gallantry.
And we pray it won't come to
Amen.
that. All right. Now, Samson Orukwa, there's no doubt that it's a blame game, that a blame game situation that we seems to be looking at. Because the other day, the presidency also faulted the governors, and the governors many times have also faulted the presidency. And it's just like what we're talking about now, saying that the governors are responsible for the problems, why the governors will say that the presidency is responsible. Now, all these, back forth issues, discussing the issues in the country, blame game, playing games and all that with our security, with our development, where do you think it will lead us to?
Thank you. Honestly, it's very, very unfortunate that politics has taken over the basic issues that people need to sit down and tackle.
Yeah, but for the fact that we have governance, there must be always politics.
Yes, yes. But you don't play politics with security matters. Security of lives and property. You don't play politics with it. So now that the government, both the presidency and the state, have seen politics to play, trade blame game, now they allow the masses to suffer. Where it is leading us to, that as if Nigeria has become a failed state, not failing. Some persons will say it's failing. No, it has failed already.
No, you can't. If a country that has failed, you can't come here this morning.
The indices of a failed state, the indices of a failed state are too glaring in Nigeria. For one to say, let us be euphemistic in the use of language. There's nothing to pretend about. That it is leading us nowhere. That the presidency is blaming the governors. When you know that security of lives and property is in the exclusive list, that where you and you alone can legislate upon.
Yeah, but even that,
now that
even the constitution that
yes.
we make recourse to also gives the room for the state governors. Just like what we said a while ago, that state governors are now putting up their own quasi-security outfit. Because perhaps we need to look at this thing more holistically. Now, when we talk about, we say Nigeria, most of us, we just view it as one geopolitical entity. We fail to realize that we have local governments, areas inside Nigeria.
Yeah.
Now, even the FCT, the Federal Capital Territory, they are locality, they are municipal, locality in the FCT. So, if local governments at that level do the needful, don't you think we can handle all these issues a great deal?
Very well. But the system over time has never allowed that. And so, just waking up now to say, this is what we need to do. You governors, you must do this, X, Y, Z. Fine. This quasi-security architecture they are now putting up in place right now, are they not born out of
necessity?
Necessity. That is, they have been pushed to the wall. That what would even be, until recently, the issue of state police, local government or community policing has been a torture debate across board. Whether it should be allowed, it should not be allowed. And you see, when even some persons want to put up their own, you feel this, the reaction from when they put up Amotekun.
Yeah, but we've gone past that stage
now.
No,
but to tell you the road they passed through, until doggedly they said Amotekun must stay, and people stood by it. Honestly, the federal government was not in support. And you are talking of security of lives, and you are blaming the same governors who did that. This is what we need to do to get our state secured. Now, back to the issue of blaming. Now the governors have said, in the 17 governors have said that no more open grazing in our territory. Is it not part of security measures they are put in place for themselves? And you said no. What else do you want to do? This is what we need to do for our people to be safe. Our people are crying this way. So we need to put this policy, this kind of measure to ensure that our people are safe. And the same federal government and its agency of presidency is not in line with what the state governors have come out to do for themselves. And you said they are the fault and the problems of this country, of their area. What else do you want them to do? Now, you know that what you are supposed to do is to protect them, the citizens. You give the command, the IG, everybody is under your command. And now they have out of necessity come to do something for themselves. You have to back them up if you really have them in the people at heart, and to ensure that their safety is your concern. Not play politics with it, whether tribe, religion, whatever. Whatever they need to do to secure themselves is their business. Allow it. And so until the constitution is reworked and allow people, this local state and local government to operate effectively. Now, even if the funds they are talking about is being given to the various local governments, the command control, arms, matters, and whatever are still in the exclusive legislative list. Okay. And how do you procure arms to ensure that people you are this security outfit you are putting together can effectively have the power to protect their area? Okay.
Now, Dr. Sado, you are a sociologist. Perhaps let us stretch our thoughts, further. Now, the insecurity in the situation, a lot of explanations and all that. You have some persons who will tell you that some persons are proponents of the Usman dan Fodo, Fulani jihadist movements, issue that's one reason why we have so much insecurity, that Nigeria falls within the belts of the grazing routes and all that. Why some other persons, we also try to establish the fact that the headers farmer situation is as a result of underdevelopment and all that. Now, where do we really situate the issues as we look at all this that we're talking about?
Thank you very much, Mr. Evans. I like to kind of agree with all sides of the story. And if we put all of them together, it will give us direction as to what the problem of Nigeria is as far as security is concerned. Now, the jihadist movement by Usman dan Fodio and his followers till date, well, it's one side story, and those who canvass that, like the Boko Haram people and all the others, feel that they are trying to carry out that mandate that was given to them. So, and that explained if you like, the security threats that happen in the Northeast. But you see, it is not peculiar to Nigeria. When threats like this come up, the state has the capacity to nip it on the bud such that it does not escalate. But you see, Nigeria failed to do that. And so what happened in the Northeast was seen as Northeast problem. And all the other parts of the country, not interested. The presidency and, of course, the security apparatuses that should do that did not attend to it. Rather, it became a business and money-making machine for them. Corruption became the order of the day, where budgetary allocations are made. I mean, may he so rest in peace, the former chief of army staff, okay, who, when he was being interviewed by the legislators in the National Assembly, they queried him on some amount, billions of naira, spent on acquisition of arms, and he said, it's true, I didn't see them, but I wasn't also the one that bought them. If you want to ask questions, go and ask those persons. Till date, that issue still remains there, and nobody is asking anybody question. The former chief of army staff, and all the service chiefs were given ambassadorial positions. The question here is corruption. When what should be used to secure lives and property goes into the hands of private individuals, and the system has no way of punishing them, then of course it will encourage more people to carry out such acts. And that is what you find out playing out in all parts of Nigeria. That's on one hand. Now, the problem of security in Nigeria is not just the jihadist issue. It's not so much as to whether it is poverty or underdevelopment. I have said it from time immemorial. It is leadership failure. Leadership failure goes hand in hand with corruption. Corruption is the reason why, as it is today, in Nigeria, we claim to be the giant of Africa, yet we can't combat ordinary threats from Boko Haram. It's corruption. It is pure leadership failure that despite the fact that our armed forces will go on peace mission and they will be given accolades as the best, and yet they can't deal with domestic issue, can also be traced to what? To corruption. If these people can nip the bud in Sierra Leone, go to Rwanda, go to Sudan, and go to other places, and they come out with awards, then of course, dealing with Boko Haram or dealing with cattle headers or Fulani headsmen or what you want to call bandits is not a problem for them.
But some persons will say that what they went to do in Sierra Leone, it wasn't insurgency, it was just men.
They have the capacity. What you call insurgency, for instance, Governor Otom, let me quote him, said, alongside with some of the community elders in some communities that were ransacked by the herders, said that these people came, they called the army to come, the army got to a point and turned back, that they were crossing from Benue to another state and they could not cross. Is it not the same nation? At another instance, the parents of the children kidnapped in Kaduna said they discussed with the military. The military said they knew where they were, but they didn't have instruction from above to take action. These are leadership issues. Nigerians can't deal with this problem if it is not coordinated. So I am putting the bulk on the presidency to say security in Nigeria is not insurmountable. As gigantic as it is, it can be nipped on the bud if Mr. President and those who work with him will just be detribalized, will put ethnicity aside and decide to face this problem headlong, to say, look, this is our problem. So when an Igbo man is killed, it's a Nigerian that is killed. Whether he is murdered by Fulani or by an Efik man, that person should be held responsible and be punished. Okay. When that becomes the order in Nigeria, people will know that there are consequences for actions. As it stands now, there are no consequences. And finally,
you can't say so.
Well, finally, the issue of security in Nigeria is also linked to part of the policy of presidency. And that policy is the visa on arrival. You see, some nations do that have secured borders. Okay. Just a moment, I need to hang this. That have secured borders. Nigeria does not have secured borders. And so if you initiate a policy on visa on arrival, that means people from all walks of life in Africa will come into Nigeria. And that is part of the issues with banditry that we have in Nigeria. They all storm in, they have no record, no vital registration, and they stay in the forest and they punish us. And yet, our leadership initially told us that these people, they didn't know them. Later on, they said they were strangers. Is it not an irony? Is it not an aberration that the presidency can sit back in Aso Rock and tell us that Nigerians are being terrorized and killed by foreigners, and yet we can't deal with it.
Okay, now
does that not explain that we are failing or we have become a failed state? Because one indices of a failed state is that you can no longer provide security for citizens of a state.
Well, I think we also need to exercise caution with the way we say that. When you say we cannot provide security, I mean, it took some security for you to come here. Nobody attacked you from...
Thank God Edo is safe.
And you came here.
I couldn't have dared that in Benue. I couldn't have dared that in Zamfara.
No, people are going their normal lives in Benue and Zamfara.
No, my brother, let's put it the way it is. If we pretend like all is well because there is relative peace in Edo, don't forget that it started in the northeast and was pushing down.
Anyway, Samson Orupa, let's come to the South now, which I believe you have a very fair knowledge of. The insecurity situation in South is still there. You talk about the kidnapping. You talk about the banditry too. It's still in South. Okay. You hear of the Niger Delta groups, protesters here and there, kidnapping and all that. Now, don't you think the state governors in the South, they have a role to play in some of these things we're talking about?
Yes. South, Niger Delta, compared to before, is a bit, for now, relatively peaceful.
Yeah, but the kidnappings, the kidnappings are still happening. But you can say,
when you go deeper, almost 65 to 70% of those kidnappings, the records are as a result of people living in the bushes, people who came forcefully through the back to enter people's bush farm and just be living in those bushes. Those are the people that are causing this kidnapping mostly now, as it stands. Though it was there before, but basically it's still linked to why must some persons be living in our bushes? If you want to stay with us, come out, get a place, get an apartment, or if you want to buy, whichever we let us know you are living with us. Don't be staying in our bush. So these people are there. They are part of the problems of the kidnapping right now, even in the South. That is not to say...
Are they just there, or at times the Southerners are even aiding and abetting them? Sure. They are reports
you see, when people have been so put in a state that they are too hungry, mentally poor, they tend to accept whatever even is not acceptable.
So you agree that there's underdevelopment in the South?
Yeah, there's underdevelopment.
That is the question. What do you think the state governors can do now?
Ordinarily, a state, Nigeria is a rental state. A rental state cannot develop.
How do you mean?
People that are you make them non-productive, you only make them to collect and share. When people are supposed to engage their own environment, what you are supposed to produce and pay tax to the central, something of comparative advantage what you have on that state. If you are produce this thing and pay tax to us, then what you are producing, you know how to manage it and how to push development to your area. But now they have left all that and focus on oil that is fast fading away, so that you only come and collect, share to those who don't even work, who don't even produce, so that free money. A state like that, even ordinarily, it tell you that whatever you didn't work for, stolen money cannot develop you. Free money cannot develop you. The money you work for, you earn for yourself, is the one you can productively put into what you need.
Perhaps,
and bring about development
Samson,
to your area.
We should also look at the role and the responsibilities of some organizations. You are the National Assistant Secretary of John National Congress, INC worldwide. So what do you think can be the roles of these organizations, particularly as it relates to South?
Is to provide cohesive force, cooperate with governors, with states, stakeholders, ensure that environment are peaceful, like what is happening presently. We want to join hands with other ethnic nationalities, engage them constructively, to bring about peace, support those areas that need our support, not to do things that will escalate the situation. At least ensure that within our confines, you do what is needful. Tell your governor, tell whoever you need to tell, even the traditional ruler, any person in a place of authority, let them know that what XYZ is not the best. Take it this way, it will be better for us, because when it is good for all of us, we'll be at peace. So organizations, either ethnic organization or whichever organization, their own is to join forces with government to ensure that their environment is peaceful.
Okay, not to prepare for war, the South against the North, as
No,
it's been
no,
in
no,
the
no,
stations.
no.
I have to ask you, I purposely asked you.
That is not the way forward.
Okay, and that's not what these organizations are doing.
No, 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 no.
That is not what the INC is also doing.
No, no, that is not.
Okay.
That is not.
All right.
That
now,
is not.
Doctor,
but don't bring war to us.
There's no buts. You have said as no.
No, you two don't bring war.
There's no buts. There's no buts.
Yeah, don't bring war to the people because they said they want peace.
Yeah, coming to Rukpa. The reason why, just like what I said before, the reason why I asked the question is you have so many organizations, so many groups, coming up in the South and all that. It appears the South somehow is just preparing somehow. That's the way some persons say it.
Okay, organizations or groups, differentiate them. Some are born out of security necessity. We need to protect ourselves. We need to form vigilante in our community. We need to form some vigilante in our territory. Those are organizations just to protect themselves. Other organizations came out to...
Not organizations that want to retaliate whatever is happening in the North.
I don't know.
Anyway, we're going to have that as another day discussion. Now, Dr. Lugat Sado, one more time as we wrap up now, the blame game issue as it relates to development, insecurity in the country. Quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, as we wrap up.
Yeah, I think that our leaders should, for once, be real.
Okay.
Yes, they should stop this blame game. Okay. They should stop passing the buck, whether it's the presidency or the governors. I think they all know why they've been elected, and they know their responsibilities. Do what you promised to the people. For instance, President Buhari promised us that he was going to wipe off Boko Haram. He promised us that he was going to, in fact, he brought three things. He talked about security, he talked about economy, and what was the third one again? Employment. These are the things you promised us. We can't find them. I mean, I can't find them. Maybe some others do. I can't find them. So, in the next 2 years or less than 2 years that you have, see how you can achieve this, especially the issue of security. Because like he said, if you don't have security, you can't attract investors. If you don't have security, even the little things you have will be destroyed. And so security is paramount. Having said that, the governors also have a responsibility to develop their states. And whatever they can, they should do within the ambit of the law. In terms of development, in terms of security, they should keep cooperating. And then I think that Nigerians should not just sit back and watch these leaders toil with our destiny. We should put pressure on them. We can use the social media, we can use Facebook, they ban Twitter now, so we can use any other media we can to put the governors and the president on their toes. Because if they fail, the repercussion and the consequences will be on us. So we expect them to succeed, and Nigerians must not take sides. And that is, we should remove tribalism and ethnicity and this religious bigotry from us. These are the problems in Nigeria, and of course what caps it up is corruption. Okay. Once we deal with this, then of course everyone will do what is expected of that person, and the nation will move forward.
All right, thank you, Rukba.
Yes. To be precise, I am also in support of restructuring. Okay. These are part of the things that will bring about some lasting solution to these teething problems. Restructuring. When you restructure, things will take shape. Every region or state will develop at their own pace. I'm an advocate of that. So that is why secessionist and whatever, I don't think is a solution. And these security matters will always come when you restructure. These matters, security, this and that, they will all fall in place. And so it is not enough for the central command to give a fiat solution to all of this, and you get result. But it is only when restructuring has been done, and the governors, traditional rulers, community heads engage themselves constructively.
So the governors have a role to play.
They have a
Definitely.
very, very big role to play. So when the governors also do what is right, irrespective of tribe, irrespective of religion, irrespective of creed or whatever, political leaning,
Okay.
just do what is right to the people, and you see things will work fine.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you so much. There, Comrade Samson Orupa, the National Assistant Secretary of Ijaw National Congress, and also Dr. Leonard Sado, a lecturer. Lugard. I always say Leonard.
Maybe I should change that name because of Lord Lugard's amalgamation. No, Leonard. Call me Leonard.
Okay, Dr. Lugard Sado, a lecturer with the Department of Sociology and Anthropology, University of Benin. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having us.
All right, the program is still here this morning on ITV. Please stay tuned.